Welcome to this video. In this video I would like to explain to you how you can start the ABAP debugger always, every time, how you can get to know how to start the ABAP debugger properly and how you can analyze the coding, because let's be honest, the truth lies within the ABAP coding, and therefore often ABAP developer or even some functional consultants will look into the coding, what really happens and what is really the logic behind that. And there's some really nice tips and tricks how you can start the ABAP debugger, but sometimes it's more challenging, sometimes it's easier, and therefore within this video I would like to show you every possibility how you can start the ABAP debugger, and I would also like to show you some tip how you can always start the ABAP debugger even though you have no clue where to start. So let's get started, and here basically we are in the ABAP editor within the object navigator within the SE80. And here I have basically already coded one sample program, basically consisting of one parameter where you get a screen where you can enter the parameter. I have declared two variables. Then I will ask you within one pop-up if you have already subscribed to this YouTube channel. If not, let's do this immediately. Thank you so much for your amazing support. Then, depending on the answer, one message will be output. Then I'm just doing one calculation, and then I am writing one output to the screen. If we execute this, then it looks like this, where you can basically enter your name. So for example, there I type in Andreas Geiger, I execute this, then you will get this question, this pop-up, have you already subscribed? Yes, I have. And then here you will get the answer, hello Andreas Geiger, have a great day, and here thank you for your amazing support. So basically how you can debug and start debugging. I think the easiest ways, and this is I think the most common way, is to set an explicit breakpoint in your coding. And you can do this basically in two ways. You can click if you have set the focus in one line and then click on this set or delete session breakpoint button. Then the breakpoint will be set. Or what you also can do this, if we remove this, then you can also click here in this this yellow bar. If you click there, then you will also get the message session was set. As you have seen this, if you would like to remove this, then just click on this icon or click there once again, then this button, this breakpoint will be deleted. Here, right next to the session breakpoint, we can see that there's also one button for the external breakpoint. What is the difference? To sum it up, the session breakpoint is a breakpoint valid in your current session. So if you're logging out of the SAP system, then it's no longer valid, and it is valid for your SAP user in foreground. If you would like to set an external breakpoint, then this external breakpoint, as we can see right now here, is basically valid for one user and will be called in your session for your user and foreground, but also if you have called your functionality remotely, for example via an RFC call, remote function module, and so on. Especially if you're working with workflows with the SAP_WFRT user, then you should use the external breakpoint to basically start the debugger. And under utilities and settings, under ABAP editor and debugging, here you can enter basically the user for that you would like to call the breakpoint. And if you, for example, would like to do this for the in ECC WF_batch user, or as mentioned SAP_WFRT, then you can enter the SAP user, confirm, and then you set the debugging also for this user. This is important to know. And basically, yeah, once again, here if you set the breakpoint and then you execute your coding, then here if we for example enter once again our name and execute this, then we can see that now once this statement, this line will be reached, your ABAP debugger will start, and then you can analyze your coding. So here we are. Once again, here you can see this also within the session breakpoint, and then you can go through this and analyze the coding and so on. If you are within your debugger, then you can almost do the same. If you've just here in this left yellow column, then click there, then you have also set the breakpoint, and with Control S or save debugger breakpoints as session breakpoints, you can convert them into the session breakpoints, and then they are there. So we're going out with F8, and then if we see here, then if we now F8 once again and go into our coding, then we can see that this session breakpoint is still there, what we have set in the debugger. So let's go out of it with F8, that's totally fine. If we, for example, have really no clue where to start or where the coding is basically, so I would like to get rid of this and I would like to execute it. So imagine that you are within one transaction, one program, and you don't know the specific part that you would like to reach to explicitly set the breakpoint. Then what you always can do is if you set the focus into the command field and then just use /H. Once you hit the enter key, then you will see that debugging is switched on. And if we now execute this, then after the next action, for example, running the report, hitting the enter key or whatever, the debugger will be started, and we can see this that the cursor is currently here in line 6 and not here in our breakpoint that we can also remove. And this is really possibility if you have no clue where to start. In the command field /H, and there you're good to go. So let's do this, and yeah, this is great. So what you also can do is, for example, let's compare those commands. You have also the possibility to type in /HS, then the system debugging will turn on. And if you are typing in /HA, for example, then you will debug without any screen dialogues. And if you hit /HX, then the debugger will be remain. So this is what you can do if the debugger has been started. So this is also one way how you can do this. So let's get into this with /H, for example, and then for example /HX. And here, okay, the functionality is not possible, but there, if you would have a dialog, then this would remain. So let's get out of this. Yeah, this is fine. So you have basically those possibility, most commonly as mentioned /H or /HS. If you really would, and this is also what you just have to do within the development system, please make sure not to transport this into the productive system, but this can also be quite useful if you're using the statement break. And then you can enter your SAP username, so break, and in my case developer. Then syntax check and activate this, and if we're running this, then we can see that within here, because my name is, or my SAP username is currently developer, and because of that here the ABAP debugger will be started and the program is stopped. Okay, so let's get out of this. What you also can do is, so let's get out, you can use the statement breakpoint. And why you should never transport this into the productive system, we can see right now. If we execute this, once again test, then we can see for every SAP user, the program will stop. and the ABAP Debugger will be started. And I think if you're working productively with the SP system, this is not the intention. So this is in development, a nice functionality to really easily start the debugger if you have no clue, especially for example SAP query or so on. Breakpoint I think should be your last option if you would like to start the debugger. So immediately remove this. So what basically happens if we would like to debug pop-ups? So once again, let's get into this here. If we're here, you have not the possibility to enter /h in the command field. So here you don't have any command field, and here you don't have any possibility to basically debug the pop-up, but you have. And therefore, let's just minimize this a little bit. You have to use a workaround, and therefore here I am using this debug.txt, a text file, and which is really important here. We are calling a system command, so the /h, so we're turning on the debugging with this txt file. So you should basically put this text, so with brackets function, and then commands equals /h, then the title, whatever you want to, for example debugger, and then what is important, type is system command. And if we, for example, go once again into our coding and we execute this, and we have here this pop-up, just simply drag and drop it. Okay, this is no, you have to be careful not to put it on the text basically. So drag and drop it when you can see this icon, not on the text as I have done, but when you can see this icon is on the plus side. And then we can see that the system command has been executed and that the debugging is switched on. And now if we go in here, then we can see basically what happens within this pop-up, and therefore we can go through it, and then we have debugged this pop-up basically that we got the answer 1. This is also one possibility to do. What you also can do, so let's once again go into the debugger with /h and then execute this. So increase this afterwards. Here in the menu bar, there you have the menu function breakpoints. And if we open this up, then here you have also the possibility to create a breakpoint based on a statement, subroutine, at a specific function module, method, at an exception, and so on. And this is really, really useful. So for example, if we go through this and we, for example, yes, this is fine. So we got this message, for example, and this is a typical common use case to debug based on one message. So then we open this message, and here to see this, and here we can see the message number. So I'm using the message class set_messages with the number 000. If we would have a closer look, then you can also open up SE91, but here we can simply copy this. This is important. Then we go back, and then with, as mentioned, /h and execute, we are in the debugger, and then we can choose breakpoints, breakpoints add, and breakpoints add message. So if we open this up, then here you can basically paste in your ID, so set_messages, and the number is 000. And now once this statement with this message has been reached, then the ABAP debugger will start basically, the breakpoint will be set, and this is really useful. So if we continue, and then if I would execute F8, so there is no static breakpoint, so F8. Now, of course, it's important to raise the message with 000. So yeah, I have subscribed, and now basically here we can see that the session breakpoints reloaded successfully. So there we are. And now you can, if you have some problems, you can also do a backwards search. So where this message occurs, then we can see, okay, this is being raised because of this case statement, because it has the value 1. And here you can go, okay, where or how did we get the LV answer 1 based on this pop-up? Okay, and yeah, clicked the yes button. And this is a really useful trick, doing backwards analysis within the debugger, and therefore using, once again, breakpoints for whatever reason. If you know the root cause but don't know the statement where in the debugging it happens, just use this approach. I think this is really useful. What we also can do, because we are within here, instead of setting a breakpoint, you can also set a watch point instead of a breakpoint. And a watch point is basically a dynamic breakpoint based on one condition. So here within the toolbar we have the button create watch points, and if we click on there, then we can see that within this program, so set_debugger, we can watch one variable. So in this case, for example, here we are in this while loop, going 100 times over it, and I would just like to get one condition. So for example, if LV number is equal to 57, and I don't want to go 57 times within the while loop, hit F6 key, continue, and therefore you can just enter the variable that you would like to watch, and within here you can just simply enter your condition. In this case it's LV number, for example, equals to 57, and then you can also do a check that your check is okay, and then we can continue. And if I now hit the F8, then we can see that this watch point has been reached, and if I go to LV number, it's equal to 57. So this is also useful if you would like to reach one part of your coding based on one condition. So, and then F8. So now what I've shown you is basically that always within the coding, always within the debugger, we have turned on the breakpoint. There's also one possibility to do this depending on one switch. So there is a possibility to switch on or off the debugger once you've reached the coding, and therefore you can use the statement break -point and then ID. And now it's important to enter one ID, a checkpoint ID, and in this case, for example, we will have to create this. I will show you in a couple of seconds. So for example, set_test debugger. And to basically create this checkpoint, we have to go to the transaction SAAB. So there we are. Then we paste this in. Here, checkpoints that can be activated, and then we click on create before we have to create it. So for example, checkpoint debugger test, whatever you want to. So local object, that's fine. We have created, and within this checkpoint, we have the possibility to set the option breakpoints break. You can leave the other settings as they are. This is totally fine. And then we are saving. And here you can set for what kind of time period this breakpoint should be activated, or this checkpoint group, or by which kind of date, depending on your settings. So just for today. So this is currently activated. So, and now basically we have still to activate this. This is fine. We not get any syntax check. And now if we run this, so for example, once again with test, Then we can see that the checkpoint is activated, and here the ABAP debugger will be started on this line, on this statement. So F8, going out of this, yeah, this is fine. So, and if I in SAAB would set this to inactive and save this, and then run this once again, then we can see that this is still caught because we have to restart the program. So basically go out of it and restart this on test. Yes, and now we can see I have turned off the checkpoint group. The ABAP debugger is not started, and there you can turn off and on the ABAP debugger. What you also can do is, so basically here we've been used the SAAB for the checkpoint groups. If for whatever reason you are not getting authorizations to this checkpoint group, you can also do this on your own. So you can basically create your debug area on your own. And therefore I have already created one table, and I call it set debug area. And here basically we are able to create one debug area and set this debug area to active or to inactive. And if we have a closer look to the content, there is currently one debug area being active. So you can also do this on your own. And what we are now gonna do is we are basically creating or doing an endless loop if this debug area is active, and we are leaving this endless loop if the debug area is inactive. And therefore I have already prepared one coding. So let's get rid of this. So here is basically the coding. And what is this coding doing? So basically here, as mentioned, we have this infinitive loop. So do and do, and if there wouldn't be any exit, there would be this infinitive loop or endless loop. And here basically we have a select statement as mentioned on this table, on this custom table. And here I'm selecting my debug area, and if this value is basically active, then it will all go over and over and over. So it will stay in this do because it won't reach this exit. But if I'm erasing this value, or for example, if there wouldn't be any debug area, so if this value is initial, then basically I would exit this. So yeah, this is basically how you can do this. So, and let's check this out. So activate this, and now once again here we can see that this is now active. So I am processing this, just hitting test. And now we can see basically here on this loading bar that the program stops within this do loop, and we can code this, and therefore we need to go to the transaction SM50, and here we can see our work process, and then under administrations and then program debugging, yes, I would like to debug this. We can basically now debug this program, and basically to get out of this we need to get once again into our entry, our table, and we need to set this to inactive. So let's check this once again. So now this value is gone, and now if I had hit the F8 key, then I will go out of this endless loop, and there we are. And if I would now execute this once again, then the ABAP debugger is not started yet. So as mentioned at the beginning, I think those are a couple of possibilities to use to always reach the point, to always start the ABAP debugger. And yeah, if you have any questions left, please put them in the comment sections. Please like this video and please subscribe to not miss great upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.